It is March 26, 2017, and welcome to News Effect. This is a Flickr Effect podcast where each week we discuss the top 5 news items of the week from the world of film, television, and pop culture. I'm David Lott. Joining me, as always, are Bobby Jackson, Yasha Wilson, and Michelle Curry. How's it going, guys?
What's up, people?
Hey. For this little shindig, I turn things over to our news expert, Bobby. How's it
Bobby
going,
Jackson.
Oh, news expert. I like the way that sounds.
News
It just
expert.
Bobby Jackson.
I just came up with
rolls
that.
off the
You like that? I could come up with something different. News correspondent.
No, news expert. I like it. I mean, you're holding me to a high standard here. I'll try and live up to it.
All right. Don't
see what we
disappoint
got
us.
Don't
here.
be wrong. Don't be
Yeah.
wrong.
Hey, if I'm wrong, then the trades are wrong because that's where I get my source. I'm not doing any scoops. This is just strictly from the trade. So, number 5 this week, we got a story where first we have Rex Harrison, then we had Eddie Murphy. Now we've got Robert Downey Jr. So it sounds as though Robert Downey Jr. will be taking on the title role of Dr. Dolittle. The name of the movie this time around is called The Voyage of Dr. Dolittle, and it will be done by Universal Pictures, in which there's no specific story laid out for it. All we know is that Stephen Gaghan is attached, who directed the widely viewed and highly esteemed movie by Matthew McConaughey called Gold that came out maybe a couple months ago. And we also have it being from a Tom Shepard earlier draft. So Steve Gaghan is doing his own draft for this. And that's something that I guess it's maybe due for a sequel, or a remake, but I don't know. I'm jury's still out on that one for me. Number 4. This is something we've actually talked about in the past, where the studios were getting together, or sorry, not getting together, but they were talking about the idea of having you be able to watch theatrical releases at home earlier than the targeted window that we have now, which is generally 6 months. So initially at that original time, the thought was we were going to have maybe $50 and then you would be able to watch whatever movie came out. But it seems as though some of the other studios didn't quite like the idea. So now they're thinking of doing $30, and everybody has to essentially negotiate with the exhibitors on their own, because if they were to try and get together and come up to something to the exhibitors, it would be collusion. So they can't. So the studios have to individually make deals with the exhibitors, the movie theaters. So the one that we have that initially kind of kicked things off is Warner Brothers, and they were the ones who were thinking of $50, but now they're going down to saying maybe $30, and seeing a film come out within 30 to 45 days after it's opened in the theater. And Fox is kind of on board with that as well. And Universal is thinking in the same along the same lines, but instead of the 30 to 45 day range, they're thinking 20 days. And Sony's somewhere in the middle in terms of where they're thinking. They actually kind of want a higher price point and maybe a longer period of wait, like something around 90 days. So nothing's being said definitively, but they're talking. And so we may still get this happen at some point in time down the line, but we'll just have to wait and see how it all shakes out. Number 3, this is Sony is once again back at it. I think last week we talked about how the fact that they were doing a Venom spinoff movie. Well, word came this week that they are not only doing a Venom spinoff movie, which is set to begin production, I believe, in either October, November, sometime this year, they were going to start production, but they also want to do a team-up movie of characters from Spider-Man's history with Silver Sable and Black Cat. And there's no word on specifically who would be directing it or anything else as far as casting. That's just the word that's out there now, that they want to expand this Spider-Man universe, and by adding a couple more characters, with no word still yet on whether or not they tie into the MCU or not. So they're continuing to go down this path that it seems as though no one has specifically asked them to go down. Number 2, Adam Sandler, man, I don't know what deal with the devil he's made, but apparently the devil might be Netflix because they just signed him to do 4 more movies on Netflix, and they apparently are in the business of Adam Sandler a lot because they said that they really enjoy working with him, and the fact that it seems as though one of their movies said that it was the most watched original films to launch on their service, and it's like I'm pretty surprised and shocked by that, but they seem to want to get some more movies going with him. And the number one story of this week is the Justice League trailer was released on Saturday, and it looks like it was going to be something that was not going to be well received. I didn't know ahead of time what people would think because it was like, why are they releasing this on a Saturday? And then the trailer gets released and I watched it, and all I can think now is November can't get here fast enough. I'm ready to see this movie as of yesterday. But we do unfortunately have to wait until late November, and I'm very, very curious to hear what you all think of that Justice League trailer once we get a chance to talk about it. And that's the latest news in effect.
All right, David, let us have it. I think we all want to know what you think.
Oh, so you're just going to turn to me about Justice League then?
Yeah, everybody else is pretty much shared. I'm calling it out because everybody else has pretty much shared what they think of this, and you said you were going to save it for the show. So let's hear it. I want to hear it.
All right, so for anyone listening, yeah, I mean, what you're referring to is our little group chat. We text each other during the week, and pretty much everybody's kind of chimed in via text to each other, like what you think of this, and I did not. I was busy at the time when this trailer dropped, and when I finally watched it, I was like, you know what, I'm going to hold off. I'm going to wait till we do the podcast, and then I'll talk about this. So yeah, I watched the Justice League trailer, of course. It looks good. I'm not going to say I was like bouncing off the walls, like, holy shit. Like, I mean, no, it looks like a good movie. I will say overall, I'm still not exactly keen on the aesthetic of this Zack Snyder DC universe. And I'm saying that as a Zack Snyder fan. I've said that before. I like his work. I liked Man of Steel, so it's not like, you know, I haven't liked his look at all, but I find myself, the more I see of this DC universe and I see of his DC universe, since that's all we saw the David Ayer, I guess, but I don't know. Anyway, I feel like really he's just best suited to make a Batman movie, which is funny because he's not making a Batman movie, you know,
right.
But at least the aesthetic would be like, this fits the Batman universe, I feel like, the best. And I still can't get past some things about the choices in this DC universe I'm not a fan of. Like the Flash, I'm like, yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying it needs to look full on classic Flash, but I'm not really digging this look. And I'm not anti Ezra Miller. I like him a lot. I think he's a great pick for Barry Allen. And I don't know. Overall, I enjoyed the trailer. It does look fun, but I'm still super, super skeptical. And I don't think it's a shock that it looks like Aquaman's going to steal the show here. He looks pretty badass. He looks awesome. And I have a feeling everyone's going to walk away from Justice League going, holy shit, Aquaman's amazing. And, you know, I don't know. I feel like that's going to be the takeaway with this movie. And, man, I had a last thing. What was it? I don't know. I'm still skeptical, but yeah, it looks good, but I wasn't blown away by this trailer by any means. I didn't watch it and like really freak out. I don't know. I kind of hoped I was going to, and I didn't. And of course, we haven't seen Superman yet, and that's fine. I know we're going to get Superman, and it's kind of, in fact, I think I kind of like that he's being kept from us for now. So I think I'm good with that choice.
You know what I hope? I hope they don't do what they did with Batman versus Superman, and they just allude, releasing all these trailers, and then before they release the movie comes out, they release another trailer and basically showing the entire plot of the movie, first, second, and third act of the film is
right.
what they did with Batman v Superman. I'm with you. While I am excited, while I'm eager to see what they're going to do with this movie, and if it's alluding to all of the stuff that basically they tease us for the fans of DC with the parademons, and that's obviously the boombox, and then that's all alluding to a whole nother world and so many more characters, so many more fun characters. It's no secret. I think I've voiced this several times with you guys. It's like, I'm interested to see Darkseid make an appearance, and I would love to see Granny Goodness make an appearance. If not anything, I just think her name alone, like, it's like, she's such a badass, and then she's so evil, and her name is Granny Goodness. Like, I don't know why that resonates. I just think that's the funniest thing to me, and I'm so excited to see her character if they decide to put her in there.
And one last thing I think I was trying to remember that I was going to say about this. The one thing that still keeps me super skeptical too is that I know they're going to have to be kind of brief, but basically we're going to end up getting sort of an origin story for like 3 characters in this movie, right? For Aquaman, for Cyborg, and for Flash. I don't know how they're going to handle it, how brief they're going to be, but it's going to be some type of introduction.
Right.
There's going to be a lot going on in this movie. And I'm, again, fearful that it's just going to be so much jumping around and too much happening. And I don't know. I'm really scared.
Doing it, though. That's how DC's been doing it. Like, we've talked about that before. It's like, they're not about slowly building to, the bigger picture like Marvel has for the past 8 years. They're like, we got to get the Justice League made now, not tomorrow, not later, now. Whereas in the Avengers was a slow process of like, okay, we're going to introduce Captain America, and we'll introduce Iron Man, and we'll introduce Thor, and then let's all bring them together and meet, and then they're going to have this big, scene. No, they're like, they had the whole pseudo introduction / origin story in Batman v Superman with the whole video clips of just on a computer, and they're going to do it maybe a little bit more, I think, in this movie, and especially when Bruce is out there recruiting these people. But they're all about rushing. They're all about, let's just get it done.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see how they piece together these origin stories, because even in the trailer there's a shot of Ezra Miller's character playing Barry Allen, talking to his father through the plate glass. Like, you could tell, like, I'm like, okay, they're clearly going to start touching on this. They're going to have to, like, they're going to have to give them something, and it's going to get developed, and it's going to be very quick and short, but it's definitely happening, and it's going to be a lot. That 3 characters is a lot to touch on in probably what's going to be a 2.5 hour film. The good news is we get Wonder Woman this summer. Thank God.
Yeah.
And I'm really trying to be chill about it, and I'm just not.
You're way into it.
I have zero chill about Wonder Woman right now, and it's just, I'm so geeked out for it. And
I'm glad somebody is. I wish I was as geeked out about any of this, and it makes me happy to see you so happy about Wonder Woman.
I am so geeked out about Wonder Woman, and I will say the other thing I took away from this trailer was, like, I feel like it looks like she's playing a pretty key part in it. Like just in the trailer alone this weekend, I was just like, wow. Like, I watched it like 3 times, and I was like, they really got her in it. Like, she's really like talking and doing things and putting things together. Like, you could tell, like, she is a serious cog in the wheel that's happening here. And that makes me really happy to see. And what you said, David, like, Aquaman's going to wind up stealing the show. God, I hope he does.
Oh, I'm not against that.
As far as Aquaman, no, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, I hope he does, because Aquaman, as far as all of them go, most people don't give 2 shits about Aquaman. And
agreed.
Really, as far as the superheroes go, Aquaman, everybody makes fun of Aquaman. Everybody pokes fun at him, and nobody really looks to him to save the day. Really, in the comics and historically, they haven't. However, I think the take that they have going on Aquaman through this, what we can see, obviously we don't know much, and then having Jason Momoa play him, stroke of brilliance on their part, and I think it's going to blow everybody away. And God, I hope everybody just embraces Aquaman, because I think it's going to be pretty badass to have this Aquaman that we're going to get, from what I can see. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the trailer. It was nice to kind of see it all, and at the same time, I'm still reserved and skeptical about the whole situation as a whole. I don't know. I'm going to see, but like, it does make me happy to see them all together. I'm curious to see more about Cyborg. He's the one I know the absolute least amount of. And from what I can see, it looks... I don't know. I'm super reserved on what I'm seeing about Cyborg. Like, in the quick few seconds we're getting on the trailer, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I don't know. I'm
not.
a little.
I
don't
will
know.
agree with you in that. I don't know about his look.
The aesthetic.
Yeah, it looks a little too fake, and I hate that's the bad way to put it, but it just kind of does.
I don't know.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not buying into that. This guy is
There it
actually,
is.
a cybernetic being. I don't know. It just doesn't. It looks like he's got this animated face kind of thing going on. I don't. Am I making sense?
They took away too much of the human
Yeah.
in a way, it seems. But again, I'm really not familiar with his storyline at all, quite honestly. Like, I don't know if they found and maybe they said it in Batman versus Superman about how much percentage was left of him left. I have no idea, but it looks like very little human was left. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm still excited. I am looking forward to this film. I'm not like geeking out the way I am about Wonder Woman about this film, but we got a few months to go,
Right.
so we'll see.
So, Bobby, what's your take?
I'm
you
sitting
said
here
right when
listening
you
to guys.
You said you were excited.
you said you were excited, so we know that. But
Yeah, I'm listening to you guys, and I'm just like, my heart hurts because it's like I am geeking out about this so much. This trailer for me was everything because I felt like they did such a good job of giving you quick little looks at what these characters are capable of, and it just has me pumped up beyond where I was just even before seeing the trailer, and I was already excited before that. So I'm just like at a point where I really can't wait to see everything. And one of the things was, I know you guys sort of had mentioned Cyborg, and from what I understand, Cyborg is actually supposed to be at the heart of this movie. They say is that
Really?
he's sort of the character that you're going to see a lot of this through his experience, because you're dealing with mother boxes and stuff that comes from Apocalypse, and he's essentially built from one
that.
of those.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, there's not much of him left in terms of his actual physical body. There's maybe his head, obviously, this side of his face, and some spine, and maybe a little bit more than that, but not much.
Right.
And the Aquaman stuff. I always get mad when people talk about Aquaman, because it's not like Aquaman's my favorite character or anything. I've always enjoyed the character, but he gets such a bad rap, and I think that's a lot of because it's almost like it's bandwagoned at a point where people heard about the character on Entourage and that it was bagged on, and then people just jumped on that bandwagon of bagging on Aquaman, and when really he's actually one of the cooler superheroes that you just don't really hear much about unless you really read his comics and explore that character. Even back in the 80s when they gave him or maybe it was the 90s when they gave him the long hair and he had the trident arm because his arm got bitten off by a shark. He was cool and badass back then with the beard and everything. So I think his character will really start to shine with this movie. But I think it looks like it's going to be action-packed, and this has got to be hands down for me the most I've ever felt like I've looked forward to seeing Batman, because Ben Affleck as Batman, he just looks like a badass Batman that you see in the comics that looks like he will deliver on that in the movies in a way that no other actor who has portrayed the character has done to date. And I'm looking forward to seeing him more in that role, and we'll hope that feedback he gets based off of Justice League, assuming the movie is good and he's good in it, will help reaffirm him and strengthen him when he goes into doing the solo Batman film, as opposed to maybe some of the feelings he's been getting lately going into it. So this one has me super jacked and excited and pumped up, and I'm like giddy for it at this point. I can't wait.
All right, well, if we're moving on from Justice League, I'll just say the only other thing I really had anything to say on the Doolittle thing. I'd heard about that early in the week, and I just kind of have a giant what the fuck is happening there on that. I don't know why Robert Downey Jr. is making the choice. I don't know why this movie's being made. I don't know. Maybe is there a desire for this?
He must have been offered an innate amount of money to do that movie. That's all I can say. I mean, they're just like, hey, look, man, we'll give you like 90% of the profits for this film if you decide to do it. And he's just like, yeah, all right, I'm in.
Right. It's weird. The whole thing's weird. Just doing another Doolittle film and then Robert Downey Jr. playing what? No. So much no.
The only thing I can think of is that there must be a different take that they're going with that would make it interesting to him. And so in my mind, here's the scenario I have for this movie. Picture it as not this sort of fun, whimsical movie, but sort of as a dark movie. And he can talk to these animals and he commands them to do evil things. And he's going to like kill people. And it's going to be this really dark version of a Dr. Dolittle film.
That's one way to look at it.
What else is there to do with it?
Yeah, that's an easy way of looking at it.
Wow.
I feel like it's Downey Jr. and I feel like why would he just do the same thing that someone else has done? And who was asking for the same thing of this? What's the point? Unless you're going to mix it up and do something different with it. And that hasn't been done. You know, it would be something interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be that. I would see that movie for sure. But otherwise, I don't.
No.
It'd be like Kevin Bacon when he did his version of The Invisible Man. You know, it's sort of a dark turn on it. It's like not the typical type of, oh, I'm invisible and I'm just going to do wacky things. And then he took it to an extreme. So I feel like if Robert Downey Jr. is going to do Dr. Dolittle, he's going to take it to some different level that hasn't been done before. Hopefully. I'm hoping that's the case.
Yeah, because, I mean, isn't it true that he's kind of turned down a lot of stuff over the years? Like,
He's said that he wants to kind of start backing down a little bit. He's been pretty go for the last, I would almost even say close to 15 years now, because once he finished rehab and got into like one or two films, really since, what was it, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, man, he's been right back in there and he's been cranking them out and he's been hot for a while. And so I think he's kind of like, I need to hang out with my family more and kind of work on life a bit more.
Well, the thing is, like, I don't know if this is what David meant, but he's turned down some big roles where you would think like, oh, I absolutely could see Robert Downey Jr. in this movie, but yet he said no, and then he goes and takes something like Dr. Dolittle. Like, I know he was offered, I believe, Mark Ruffalo's part in Spotlight, but turned it down, or at least some part in that movie. I forget specifically which role, but he's turned down some pretty big things and that have gone on to do pretty well. And yet when you see that he takes a movie like Dr. Dolittle, you're thinking, well, it has to be for some good reason, right? So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know either, because that's what I couldn't think of any examples off the top of my head. But I like what you're saying with Spotlight. I felt like there were roles like that where it's like, you know, movies that he could have been really great in. He's a great actor, and he's been turning stuff down like that down. But then he picks up something like this, and I'm just left going, I don't understand.
It could be scheduling, because he has said that he wants to focus on his family because he has younger kids. He's got older kids, but he's also got younger kids, and he said that. So it could literally come down to something as simple as scheduling. And he'd be like, no, I'm not. This is what we do. This is our time. I'm not filming during this time. This is my thing. And that's what's going to happen, then I'm not doing your film. Yeah.
Might be.
I'm speculating here.
Oh, obviously. But yeah, no, I mean, we're all speculating. But yeah, I don't know. It's mind-boggling to me.
It's weird. I agree. It's weird. So yeah. So.
But that's all I got.
Adam Sandler, huh?
Oh, that, yeah.
Really? I read that earlier this week and I was like, no, Netflix, come on. What was the movie that like they said was the biggest one? Was that one that was a spinoff of Hateful Eight, or not Hateful Eight? Magnificent Seven.
Oh,
it was kind of, that kind of spinoff one. I think it was called the something 8, Ridiculous 6.
Oh god,
that's right.
Was that the one that the one they said that did well?
Well, they said his first 2 did really well, The Ridiculous 6 and The Do-Over. They said they were the most watched original films to launch on their service.
Really?
So, right?
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, I remember reading about that as well. Like, his movies on Netflix do unbelievably well overseas. Like, crazy good.
That's
like,
where it is.
And that's where it is. It's that the market overseas absolutely loves his ass, and it's just like listening to this. I was reading this, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding. I think it was right after they started releasing these movies like The Ridiculous Six and The Do-Over and stuff like that. I was like,
Bobby can't even he's laughing at the title. He thinks it's so stupid.
It's just so funny. It's so appropriate. It's ridiculous, and yet the people eat it up. It's crazy.
Yeah, they do.
Well, it's funny because here in America, we're over it.
All right, look, I'm going to put this out here. Why don't we all sit down and watch the next Adam Sandler release that comes out?
That's a good idea.
It's because let's see what other people are seeing if we're missing something.
Because I fully admit I've seen none of them. I have not watched any of these Adam Sandler Netflix films. So I agree. I think that's a good idea.
I will admit I have also not seen either of them.
Hey, I have.
Josh is like, I ain't no suffering a fool no more.
I watched The Ridiculous Six and I watched The Do-Over because I like David Spade. And, at one point I really did enjoy Adam Sandler movies, and I was incredibly disappointed at both turns.
The next one he has coming out is called Sandy Wexler, and it debuts on Netflix April 14th.
All right, there it is.
Okay.
We got to review it.
I mean, I feel like just because it's the people overseas are loving it, the people in America, I don't think we're loving them anymore. I think his time here is past, come and gone.
Yeah.
And that Black Cat story, you know what? I just can't anymore with Sony. It's like they're just some greedy bastards.
It's at this point, it's just stop. At this point, it's just stop.
I feel the same way about Sony and them trying to capitalize off of the Spider-Man name, the same way that David is feeling about DC Warner Brothers right now. I just can't with them. I'm over. It just
needs to stop.
They did the right move.
It's sad because it feels like. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying they did the right move with Spider-Man, and then it was like, well, we can't leave that well enough alone. We can't have it be organic, and these characters can naturally get introduced into Spider-Man's world, and we spin them off there. No, they're like, we can't wait. We need money, and I don't know if this is the best way to go about it, because I don't know too many people that are on board with this in terms of what they're trying to do. There's no clear sign or direction of how this is all supposed to shake out, and they're not being very forthcoming with that information. So if people are just left to speculate on the page, it just doesn't sound like a good idea, because we don't have definitive information saying that it's part of the MCU, and if it's not, then what does that mean? Right. And one theory I heard was that maybe this takes place in the Ultimate Universe, and in that Ultimate Universe there was a period of time when Spider-Man was dead, and that's how Miles Morales became Spider-Man. And maybe that will be the Spider-Man in these movies, which would be kind of interesting. But they haven't even said that. That's just all speculation that people are just trying to rationalize and make some sort of sound reasoning out of what we have as far as information. So it's all just up in the air at this point, and I don't like it.
Cash grab.
Yeah, big time. That's all it is. It's just a cash grab. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Well, unless anybody's got anything else, I guess we can wrap it up.
And basically, the news this week was kind of Bobby.
And I want to give my final thoughts on the Justice League trailer. By the way, overall, I did enjoy the trailer. I watched it. I was like, cool. But I think part of me was really just hoping I was going to see a full Justice League trailer and be like, oh, damn, this is the shit. This is going to be awesome. And I just did not get that awesome feeling when I watched it. It was entertaining. I want to watch it again for sure. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing it in the theater before a movie at some point. But I don't know.
You know what sold me on this trailer more than anything? More than the action scenes and everything, which was great, awesome. But the thing that actually sold me the most is when Flash is in the Batmobile with Batman, or he turns over to Bruce Wayne. He's like, "You don't have any superpowers, or what do you do?" And Bruce Wayne's like, I'm rich. I was just like, I started cracking up because it was just like perfect. You just could sort of mic drop on that line. And I was like, oh, this is humorous. And it doesn't feel forced and unnatural. Right. And it felt really good. And I was thinking this was made around the time that the feedback got back to Zack Snyder about Batman v Superman. And so maybe some adjustments and changes were made and that we're going to actually get something good. And so fingers crossed. I'm very, very positive on it.
No, and I think we all are fingers crossed.
It's definitely got good moments in it like that. Like, what does Aquaman say to him? Like, oh, you dress like a bat? I can dig it or something like that. Like,
I dig it.
It's awesome. Like,
and then he's like, I'm not making friends like this.
Yeah. And I will say, too, touching on the look of Batman, I think kind of like what you were saying earlier, Bobby, like, I definitely dig Ben Affleck Batman. I mean, and I want to say that because there are times where I look at like some like movie stills and promotional shots of him in the costume, and I'm like, I like him, but part of me is like, I don't know. But then all the shots in this trailer, I was like, all right, this Batman looks badass. Like, I love the look of this Batman for sure.
Yeah. Especially the underneath shot when he's on the with the guard. Oh man,
yes,
so classic,
so good. But I think I'm just so jaded at this point. It's hard for me to get too excited. I don't know, but you know what? If I make it in the Hall H this summer, and there's a Warner Brothers panel, and there's going to be a whole thing about Justice League, I'm sure I'll be just like everybody else, going, "Oh my God, this looks amazing! Holy shit!" Like, because it'll be the energy in the room. You can't help it. And then you'll walk out going, God, what the fuck was wrong with me?
You watch it again out in the lawn, and you're like, wait, what?
Hold on, Dave.
No, hold on.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I got. I think that's what we've all got. I'm going to wrap it up now. By the way, make sure to check out episode 209, which should be posting soon. We'll be reviewing Life, a spoiler review for Life, so make sure to check that out. And as always, check out our website, flickereffect.com. You can find links to our various accounts there. And with that, I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Yasha Wilson.
I'm Michelle Curry.
Thanks for listening.